Check, check, check. Is this thing on? Hello? Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey, good morning, people. How are we? I'm here. I'm weird. Get used to it. And if you can't get used to it, get over it. All right, people. It is Monday. It is time for another fantastic episode of Monday Movie Memories. If you were watching the pre-show this morning, I do apologize for the last few minutes of that being unstreamed due to copyright filaments inside of the film that we had. Apparently, toward the end of the first part, there was a little bit of music that the algorithm gods did not care for. So it booted me. Luckily, I caught it quick enough to stop the video so that it would return. So if you are still here, I do appreciate you sticking with me this morning. I am going to check and see what's going on in the old live stream comment section. And I've got my live monitor here. I've got my live outgoing computer here. I've got a little phone here that's also another monitor. So if you see a viewer count, subtract 2, because 2 of them are me. So the viewer count now is 3, so apparently we have one other viewer hanging out this morning. Jodie Foster is our topic actress for the day. And throughout the next couple of hours, we are going to take a look at her early years, her first 20 years or so of her career. The 70s and 80s. We like to stick in the 70s. We don't want to go outside our wheelhouse. So we stay with what we know. And what we know is the 70s and 80s. And what I know about Jodie Foster is she's one of my heroes. She's one of my idols. Definitely a childhood hero. She was a bit outside the norm, which made her so awesome. She was, had she been old enough, she might have starred with Jackie Earle Haley for Bad News Bears. In fact, she was in the made-for-TV series, The Bad News Bears. I believe it was Jack Warden who played Buttermaker. Most of the original little kids were swapped out. A very, very young, what is his name? The little kid, Mouth from Goonies. Corey Feldman. A little itty bitty Corey Feldman was in the TV series, short-lived TV series, The Bad News Bears. This morning we are going to talk about Jodie Foster in depth, and then we are going to take a look back at 6 of her movies that, and we're going to get through whatever we get through today. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to load up the mornings with enough content to keep us busy, but I don't want to get bogged down. So we're just going to kind of try to keep it moving along. Let me go ahead and shift my keyboard here out of the way, because I do not need that. Yeah, I am real excited about this morning because, like I said, Jodie Foster, one of my heroes, especially the movie not Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, which is another fantastic, funny movie, but it's not the Disney movie I'm referring to. Candle Shoe is the one that I am really excited about. I started watching it again most recently and figured out why I fell in love with a couple of times that I watched it as a kid. Jodie Foster, she's in that movie Candle Shoe, she really does a great job portraying the everyday street urchin style kid, which I kind of was. Let's see. I have Jodie Foster here. I also have 6 movies that I picked out that I wanted to talk about because they're the movies that, for me, they stand out from the 70s and 80s. And of course, Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, Bugsy Malone, Taxi Driver, Candleshoe, and let's see, what else do we have? We have Foxes and Carny. Now, Carny is one that I've never seen. So that should be interesting to learn about that one before we actually see it. And I actually found it, and I have a digital copy of it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So we're gonna see what we can do. It's Monday, so I'm a little bit, well, you know, a little bit Mondayed. Last night we went out and, by the way, this is the morning show part of the show. Last night we went out to my brother-in-law's house up the road, and they took us out to Chinese food, which was pretty cool because I hadn't had real Chinese food in a long time. Of course, I don't think there were any Chinese in the back. I made sure to look, but I don't think there was one Chinese person in the whole restaurant. But the food was really good. You can tell that they learned how to cook this from some really good Chinese restaurant that they cooked in. I used to eat at. I'm glad I have my microphone is on, because sometimes I look over and it'll be off, and I'll be, slapping my gums with nothing coming out. Golden Dragon was a restaurant back in Lake Elsinore, California, from when I was a kid, and we actually used to go over there after school on occasion, which was kind of weird. There were some restaurants in town that were great, and they'd really catered us school kids. There was one called the Granada 2, T-O-O, and you could come in off the street as a kid, sit down, and they'd bring you chips and salsa. And if you were ordering a drink, a Coke, you'd get chips and salsa for like an hour, right? Good morning, sunshine. How are you? Good. Take me with you to your coffee, Cassie. Good morning. We're doing Jodie Foster this morning. I'm real excited about that. Of course, we'll probably have to do it after a commercial break. Well, no, actually, I've got trailer breaks. So we are going to be doing trailer breaks this morning, which means we are going to be gone a little bit less than usual, which is pretty cool. I think I've got 5 breaks. Yeah, I've got 5 breaks set up, and I've got trailers in each of the 5 breaks. And let's see, I am slated to start off with the Jodie Foster part 1, and I think what we'll do is we'll get through a part 1 and see where we're at. I'm not sure where I was going to take my 5 breaks this morning. I think it's going to be every 20 minutes I'm going to take a small trailer break, and we're going to watch a trailer together. So we've got about 10 minutes. I think it's about time to get through one of these parts about Jodie Foster. So let me get in here with you, and I hope you can hear me okay this morning. I think, therefore I am. Let me turn this up a little bit. There we go. And maybe that will work. I can't monitor my sound, so you're going to have to tell me what you think of it. And I can see the comments here in front of me, so as they pop up, I will try to respond. Alright, so Jodie Foster Part 1. Jodie Foster's beginnings in the entertainment world were not the result of a sudden discovery or a single lucky break, but rather the product of a steady, deliberate climb that began as soon as she could walk. In the early 1970s, American television was a landscape of variety shows, sitcoms, and weekly dramas that filled living rooms with familiar rhythms. And into that world stepped a young girl with a startling sense of poise. Let's see, and here she is. Jodie had a presence that didn't match her age. She carried herself with a seriousness that made directors take notice. And she delivered the lines with clarity that suggested she understood not just the words, but the moment. Her earliest appearance came through commercials, those quick little slices of Americana that flickered between programs. She was the kind of child who didn't freeze under the lights or stumble over the script. She was the kind of child who didn't... she simply looked into the camera and did the job. That reliability opened the doors. And soon she was appearing on some of the most recognizable shows of the era. Pardon me as I get my flow going here this morning. It takes a few minutes. She turned up on the Doris Day show, where her timing and natural charm made her stand out even in a small scene. She appeared on The Courtship of Eddie's Father, a series known for its gentle tone and emotional honesty, and she fit right into that world. She also made appearances on My Three Sons, really, a long-running favorite that had become a staple of American households. Each role was another step, another chance to show that she wasn't just a cute face. She was a performer with genuine ability. She was. But it was her work with Disney that truly introduced her to a national audience. The magical world of Disney had a way of finding young talent and giving them room to shine, and Jodie was no exception. She starred in Napoleon and Samantha, a family adventure that paired her with Michael Douglas and a lion named Major. It was the kind of story that defined early 70s children entertainment. Honest, earnest, adventurous, and filled with just enough danger to make young viewers sit up straighter. Jodie handled the emotional beats with a steadiness that surprised even seasoned actors. She wasn't overwhelmed by the scale of the production or the demands of the role. She simply stepped into the character and made it believable. Her Disney work continued with The Menace on the Mountain, a Civil War era story that required her to balance innocence with resilience. She also appeared in My Brother Sam is Dead, a 2-part television drama that gave her a chance to explore more serious material. These projects showed that she could carry emotional weight, that she could inhabit characters who faced real challenges. She wasn't just reciting lines like me. She was acting, shaping performances with intention and understanding. At home, she wasn't the only child in the business. Her brother Buddy Foster had already made a name for himself on a Mayberry RFD, the continuation of the beloved Andy Griffith universe. The Foster household was one where scripts were as common as cereal boxes, where auditions were a part of a weekly routine. But even in that environment, Jodie's path was distinct. She wasn't pushed into the spotlight. She simply rose to meet it. She had a natural discipline, a sense of responsibility that made her stand out among young performers. By the mid-1970s, those pictures of her are fantastic. By the mid-1970s, she had become one of the most recognizable young faces in American entertainment. She moved easily between television and film, between comedy and drama, between light-hearted family fare and more serious stories. She had that rare ability to make every role feel lived in, as though she understood the character from the inside out. And audiences responded. Parents trusted her, children related to her, and producers recognized that she brought something special to every project. This first chapter of her career, the commercials, the sitcoms, the Disney adventures, laid the foundation for everything that would follow. It was a time of learning and discovery, of building a reputation as a performer who could be counted on. And as the 70s moved forward, it became clear that Jodie Foster was not simply passing through childhood stardom. She was preparing for something more substantial. And there you go. That's oh, good. I'm glad that it sounds good. That's part one there of Fody Joster. Wait, that's not right. Right. So we are. Oh, look at that, Jodie Foster. She is just she's the bomb. She's the bee's knees. So I will be paying attention to the message board here. Miriam in the booth there is taking all the phone conversations and the fax machines and all the stuff that she's getting from y'all, and she's taking that and she's feeding it into my monitor here so I can see the messages come through my message board. So if you've got something to say, let me know, and she'll get it to me. We are going to go to a trailer break, and when we get back, we are going to continue with our discussion on Jodie Foster. And then, after we get done with Jodie Foster, we are going to look into her movies. And we will spend the next hour, the second hour in our show, really, really checking it out. All right. I've got my new little, you can see this little monitor, this little black thing here. That's a little screen, a little digital picture screen there. Then I've got a calendar on it. Eventually it will have pictures and videos and stuff on it. But for now it is great to have the clock right here in front of me and the date, because I don't always remember what day it is. It's easy for me to remember what day of the week, just not what day of the world. So there you go. Cassie Lucas is with us this morning, and she's coming to us out of Oregon, I believe, north of here, way north of here. We are going to do a trailer break, and when we get back, we're going to continue with Jodie Foster, and we'll talk about some of her earliest roles and some of the big names that she got to work with in her very, very early days. All right, people, don't go away. I will be back in a flash. It's a little bit cumbersome here, so I've got to go volume off, fade to black, volume off, and then we go to the trailer. And then I turn the trailer off, and I come back from black with the mic on. So hopefully that will work out correctly. And we'll be back shortly. So don't go away. All right, here we go. Fade to black, mic off.
Oh, the time is now, the time is here. Now's the time for a bite of cheer. A tasty light where the price is right. Well, look at here, you'll dig the sight. The moment's handy for a piece of candy. Just name your brand, they're all so grand. Hey, what do you think of a nice cool drink? Or a big box filled with a popcorn thrill? Let your taste buds meet with an ice cream treat. Refresh yourselves, it's time to eat. So come on, folks, let's join the band as we all head for the refreshment stand.
Oh, a river's gonna flow across the land.
There once was a time when things like pollution, overpopulation, even income taxes were unknown to most people. Our natural riches seemed inexhaustible. There was more elbow room, and life was a lot more fun.
Load up the victuals, pickles and hams, melons, cherry pie.
Now, Reader's Digest, together with United Artists and Arthur P. Jacobs, invites you and your family to go back to those golden days as we proudly present Tom Sawyer.
Two coats. Two coats? All of it.
I mean, when's the last time you could slosh a bucket full of wash on a mile of fence? Look at him smiling and having a time, and all at my expense. Satisfaction, oh, how good you feel when your shoulders to the wheel.
The beloved classic comes to life once more as this glorious musical adaptation comes to the screen.
A man's got to be what he's born to be, so just sit back and wait.
Ever been in a graveyard at midnight? Plenty scary.
I wouldn't be scared.
Be it soon or late, he'll be small or great.
Tom's home.
Yeah, a man's got to be what he's born to be, so just sit back and wait.
Becky, come on!
I'm gonna kill you, Tom Sawyer!
Free-bootin', kicking up our feet in the sand. Free-bootin', living up the ball of the land.
Now, Tom, you come up here and tell us exactly what you saw.
Doc Robinson fetched up the shovel to shield himself. He accidentally hit Muff on the head and knocked him out cold. When Injun Joe picked up a big rock and knocked Doc Robinson down into the grave, I heard the doc scream.
Tom Sawyer, that irresponsible chum. That Tom Sawyer, uncouth, irreverent one. That
You and your family will share all the warmth, the humor, the adventure, and the characters that only Mark Twain could have created. You'll meet Huckleberry Finn, Aunt Polly, Muff Potter, Becky Thatcher, and of course, Tom. And you'll understand why Reader's Digest chose to make Tom Sawyer its first feature presentation.
And we are back, and I think I did that pretty seamlessly. That was pretty good. Also available on 8-track tapes is Johnny Whitaker, Friends, which is a great collection of Johnny Whitaker songs, the star from that movie, Tom Sawyer, with Jodie Foster. One of my favorite, and that movie I've seen recently. And it is a great adaptation of Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer. It's got the Huck Finn, played by the young gentleman who eventually played young Superman. And loud as fuck. I had to turn it down a couple of notches. All right. Let me go ahead and... well, I'm going to have to just adjust it on the fly, so I will try to remember to adjust the volume. Now, when I put these little segments together with the trailer and everything, what I try to do is I try to adjust the volume so that they're all the same, and then when I install it into my program here, I try to then adjust the volume down so it doesn't just jump into the red. I do apologize for that. That's live TV, baby. That's just the way it is. All right, let's get back with Jodie Foster again this morning. And there she is. I love those photos. I was able to just find a bunch of young Jodie Foster photographs. So hopefully the volume will balance out a little bit. Let's get back and get through a couple of parts here before we go to the next commercial break, or trailer break. And hopefully that won't be as loud. Okay, as the 1970s deepened, American cinema was undergoing a transformation. Filmmakers were pushing boundaries, exploring darker themes, and capturing the complexities of modern life with a rawness that hadn't been seen before. Into this shifting landscape stepped Jodie Foster, no longer just the bright young face from Disney Productions, but a performer ready to take on roles that demanded emotional depth and courage. Her transition from television to film wasn't abrupt. It was a natural progression, each project building on the last, each performance revealing new layers of her talent. One of her earliest and most striking film roles is this of this period came Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, directed by Martin Scorsese. Though she played a supporting character, her presence was unmistakable. She portrayed a sweet, streetwise girl with a sharp tongue and tough exterior, a character far removed from the wholesome roles she'd played for Disney. It was a sign that she could handle material that was gritty and honest, that she wasn't afraid to step into the shadows of a story. Her scenes were a spark, a sense of authenticity that made audiences take notice. This willingness to explore difficult territory led her to one of the most talked about roles of the decade, Iris in Taxi Driver. Once again, under Scorsese's direction, Jodie Foster delivered a performance that stunned critics and viewers alike. She was only 12 years old when she filmed it, yet she carried the role with maturity that seemed almost impossible. The film itself was a raw portrait of urban isolation, and her character was at the heart of its emotional turmoil. Her scenes with Robert De Niro were charged with tension, filled with quiet intensity that made viewers forget they were watching a child actor. She wasn't performing, she was inhabiting the role, giving it a depth that lingered long after the credits rolled. Taxi Driver became a cultural landmark, and Jodie's performance became one of its defining elements. It earned her an Academy Award nomination and placed her firmly in the national spotlight. But even as the world marveled at her talent, she remained grounded. She continued to work steadily, choosing roles that allowed her to explore different facets of her abilities. She appeared in Bugsy Malone, one of my favorites. I've got that on 16mm. Bugsy Malone, a whimsical musical gangster film where children played all the roles, complete with splurge guns. There were splooge guns, and speakeasy swagger. It was a delightful contrast of the intensity of Taxi Driver, showing that she could shift from drama to comedy with ease, and she did. She also starred in Freaky Friday, a Disney comedy that became one of her most beloved films of the era, playing a teenager who switches bodies with her mother and brought humor, charm, and just the right amount of teenage exasperation to the role. It was a reminder that even as she tackled serious, challenging material, she still had the lightness and reliability that made her a favorite among young audiences. Throughout this period, Jodie balanced her acting career with her education. She attended Lycée Français de Los Angeles, becoming fluent in French, maintaining a rigorous academic schedule. It was a testament to her discipline and her desire to build a life that extended beyond the screen. While other young stars were swept up by the whirlwind of fame, Jodie kept her feet firmly planted, focusing on her studies, even as her film career soared. By the late 1970s, she became one of the most respected young performers in Hollywood. She had proven that she could handle complex roles, carry a film, and navigate the pressures of early stardom with grace. And as the decade drew to a close, it was clear that she was on the cusp of a new chapter, one that would see her transition from a gifted child actor to a fully realized adult performer. There you go. Okay, well, we are kicking right along here, and I'm going to read another section here, and then we are going to go to a little break. And then we'll be moving right along for this morning, huh? All right. Part 3. The early 1980s marked a turning point in Jodie Foster's life, a period defined by transition, exploration, and the steady evolution from youthful prodigy to mature actress. Or is that mature? Whatever. It was a time when she made choices that set her apart from many of her contemporaries, choices rooted in discipline, curiosity, and a desire to shape her own path. While some young performers struggled to navigate the shift from childhood roles to adult characters, Jodie approached the transition with the same clarity and determination that had guided her through the 1970s. One of the most significant decisions she made during this period was to pursue higher education. She enrolled at Yale University, and a move that surprised some in the industry but impressed many others. It was a bold step, especially for someone whose career was already flourishing. But for Jodie, education, or éducation, had always been a priority. She had grown up balancing scripts with school books, film sets with classrooms, and she wasn't about to abandon that balance now. At Yale, she studied literature, immersing herself into the world of ideas, history, and storytelling. It was a period of intellectual growth that would later inform her work as both an actress and filmmaker. Even as she pursued her studies, she continued to act, choosing roles that reflected her growing maturity. She appeared in Foxes, a coming-of-age drama that explored the complexities of teenage life in a rapidly changing world. Her performance was grounded and honest, capturing the uncertainty and yearning that defined adolescence in the early 1980s. It was a far cry from the wide-eyed Disney characters of her youth, and it signaled to audiences that she was ready to take on more adult themes. She also starred in the Hotel New Hampshire. This is one I have not seen. A darkly comedic family saga based on the novel by John Irving. The film allowed her to explore a character who was both vulnerable and resilient, navigating the eccentricities and tragedies of a family that seemed to exist just slightly outside the boundaries of ordinary life. It was the kind of role that required emotional depth and subtlety, qualities that Jodie had been cultivating for years. Throughout the early 1980s, she continued to build a body of work that showcased her versatility. She appeared in dramas, comedies, and thrillers, each performance adding another layer to her growing reputation as a serious actress. But what truly set her apart during this period was her ability to maintain a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos of fame. She attended classes, wrote papers, and lived the life of a college student, even as she traveled for film shoots and promotional tours. It was a balancing act that few could manage, but Jodie handled it with the same quiet determination that had carried her through the 1970s. Her family remained a grounding force during this time. Her brother Buddy, who had once shared the spotlight with her, had stepped away from acting, but the bond between them remained strong. She shared experiences in the industry, their shared experiences in the industry gave them a unique understanding of each other's lives. And Jodie often, we've got a message here. Let me stop and go to this message here. I've always loved and have a lot of respect for Jodie Foster. Great actress. Some of the greatest movies I've seen. Yep, there you go. When she was, she was pretty young. She does a great role in Kung Fu, the TV series, opposite of David Carradine. And she is so beyond her years in that little girl's body. Anyway, their shared experiences in the industry gave them a unique understanding of each other's lives, and Jodie often spoke of her family with warmth and gratitude. They had supported her from the beginning, guiding her through the challenges of early fame and helping her navigate the complexities of the entertainment world. As the 1980s progressed, Jodie began to take greater control of her career, choosing roles that reflected her evolving interests and sensibilities. She wasn't content to simply accept whatever scripts came her way. She sought stories that resonated with her, characters that challenged her, and projects that allowed her to grow. It was a period of exploration, testing boundaries, and discovering what kind of actress she wanted to become. Indeed. Let's go ahead and take a break, And when we come back, we are going to finish up our 4-part monologue, commentary, story, look at Jodie Foster. So let's see if I can do this right. There you go. And it looks like I have set this up to come back and do these parts here along with this, but we're going to do it differently. It's my show. I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want. It's my show. So oh man, is she beautiful or what? I keep seeing these pictures of her popping up on the screen, and she is fantastic. I was a horrible little mongrel of a child, and when I look at her, it makes me feel beautiful as a kid. It does. It does. When I look at her, especially in the movie like Candle Shoe, it just makes me feel like I wasn't a little ugly little rat child. I don't know why that is. I do not know why that is. All right, we are going to go to break number 2 and another, movie trailer. All right, so don't go away. All right, let me see if I can do this right here. Fade out and mic off.
They called her the little girl who lives down the lane. All alone in that big house. Who was she? And what was her secret? A lot of people wondered. Like Mario, the local comedian.
Somebody's out there.
Officer Miglioretti, the local cop.
I don't believe what you've been telling me about your father.
You're a very pretty girl, you know that? Pretty eyes.
Frank Hallett, the local creep. And nasty Mrs. Hallett, the local gossip.
Mrs. Hallett, I'm warning you!
I want to know what's been happening here in this house. I want to know what happened here today!
I think I should warn you that the police are watching our house right this very minute, Mr. Howard.
Aren't you scared?
Of what?
Of being alone. No one will know about us.
I never knew how much I needed you.
Now listen to me, young lady. I know you're up to something.
Go in that study, Mrs. Hallett, and I tell my father about your son. I even had to ask him why the police don't do anything about it.
Why should they do anything?
When your son gives candy to pretty little girls.
Academy Award nominee Jodie Foster, Martin Sheen, Alexis Smith.
Get out of here!
The little girl who lives down the lane.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
And we are back. How's that? I'm getting better at that. Thank you for bearing with me this morning. It's been a kind of a long, hard road to get to where we are with the show. I've heard a lot. I've heard of this movie, Little Girl Down the Lane, but I've never seen it before. Well, I wish I could, come next door and say, "Hey, Cassie, let's check out this movie," because I've got a bunch of her movies here, and I've put a little file together of not just movie trailers, but actual movies that I was able to find on the internet. So I've actually downloaded just a crap load of movies over the last year. I've enough to fill an entire external hard drive of a 1 terabyte hard drive is completely filled with digital copies of movies. So they're smaller files, and I'm just loaded with movies. It is a creepy movie, and we're going to talk more about that movie. I believe we are going to talk a little bit. Yep, that's the first movie we're talking about this morning, after we get through with part 4 of Jodie Foster. By the mid-1980s, volume is on, Jodie Foster had reached a point in her career where she was no longer defined by her past roles, no longer viewed solely through the lens of childhood stardom. She had stepped fully into adulthood, both personally and professionally, and the choices she made during this period reflected a performer. Let's go back to Jodie, because I just love this here. And Jodie, here we go. The 80s were the decade of change in Hollywood. Shifting tastes, new genres, and growing emphasis on star-driven storytelling. And Jodie navigated this landscape with a sense of purpose that set her apart. One of the defining aspects of this period was her insistence on choosing roles that challenged her. She wasn't interested in coasting on her reputation or repeating the success of her youth. Instead, she sought out characters who lived complicated lives, who faced difficult circumstances, who required her to dig deeper into her emotional reserves. She appeared in The Blood of Others, a wartime drama that demanded a level of seriousness and introspection that few actors her age were prepared to tackle. I had never heard of this before. She brought a quiet intensity to the role, capturing the moral weight of the story. Pardon me. With maturity that surprised even those who had followed her career closely. The Blood of Others. Let me go ahead and highlight that there, because that's one I want to check out later. She also continued to explore contemporary dramas, appearing in films that examined the social and cultural tensions of the era. These roles allowed her to stretch her abilities, to experiment with different styles of performance, and to refine her understanding of characters. She wasn't afraid to take risks, to step into stories that didn't offer easy answers or tidy resolutions. That willingness to embrace complexity became one of her defining traits as an actress. At the same time, she was laying the groundwork for the next phase of her career. She began to take an interest in the creative process behind the camera, studying the work of directors, observing the rhythms of production, and thinking about storytelling from a broader perspective. Her time at Yale had deepened her appreciation for narrative structure and thematic resonance. And she brought that intellectual curiosity to her work on set. She wasn't just performing, she was learning, absorbing, preparing for the day when she would step behind the camera herself. Her personal life during this period remained remarkably grounded. She valued her privacy, choosing to keep her focus on her work and her studies rather than the trappings of fame. She maintained close relationships with her family, drawing strength from the stability they provided. Her brother Buddy, though no longer acting, remained an important presence in her life, a reminder of a journey they had shared from childhood auditions to the bright lights of Hollywood. As the 80s drew to a close, Jodie Foster stood out on the threshold of a new era. She had weathered the transition from child star to adult actress with grace that few could match. She had built a body of work that showcased her range. her intellect, her intelligence, and her emotional depth. And she had done it without losing herself in the process. The choices she made during the 1970s and 80s, the roles she accepted, the education she pursued, the discipline she maintained, all laid the foundation for the extraordinary career that would follow. Her story during these 2 decades is one of steady ascent, of thoughtful decisions, of a young woman who understood the value of hard work and the importance of staying true to herself. It is a story of an actress who grew up on the screen without ever becoming defined by the screen, who embraced the challenges of her craft with courage and conviction, and who emerged from the whirlwind of early fame not as a cautionary tale, but as a testament to what talent, discipline, and determination can achieve. Jodie Foster, still kicking ass. Yeah. All right, let's go and let's talk about Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane before we get to the top of the hour here. And I think at the top of the hour we have another trailer set up to go. So we're going to do that, baby. All right. Well, I hope you're enjoying this because I'm learning about Jodie Foster just like you all. The Brave One is the epitome of Jodie Foster. She is epitome, epitome. One of her most intense roles I've ever seen, and it did not get the kudos I felt it deserved. That movie broke me, LOL. I cried a lot. Yeah, she has a tendency to do that. The Brave One, there was a one, I don't remember the name of it, but she's on a plane, and she helped design the plane, right? So she's on like the maiden flight, and she's got her little girl, and her little girl turns up missing on the plane in the middle of the sky. Where's my kid? Psst, right? That was a creepy one there. The Brave One, that's another heavy one. Panic Room, that's another one of her later movies. There's one where she plays the leader of the planet, and she's up on a space station, and all of us poor little shit faces are down here on Earth suffering, and all the affluent people are up in space. That's another good one. I don't remember the name of most of these newer movies because that stuff's in the future. I'm back here in the 70s and 80s, babies. All right. So, there's Jodie Foster again. Jodie Foster. Fody Joster. Fody Joster! All right. So we got Fody Joster there. We are going to talk about when Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane appeared in 1976. It arrived with a kind of hushed intensity, the sort of picture that didn't shout for attention, but instead drew audiences with its quiet, unsettling charm. It was a film that lived in the shadows, not a horror story in the traditional sense. Flight Plan, that was it. There you go. You haven't seen that one? That's a good one. It was a film that lived in the shadows, not a horror story in the traditional sense, not a thriller, but not a thriller built on loud shocks or sudden twists, but something far more atmospheric. It was a tale of secrets, of independence, of a young girl determined to protect her world at any cost. I'm really getting into this. At the center of it all was Jodie Foster, delivering a performance that showed just how far she had come and how much further she was capable of going. Jodie played Ryan Jacobs, a 13-year-old girl living alone in a large rented house on the outskirts of a small New England town. From the very first scene, it's clear that Ryan is not like other children her age. She is self-possessed, articulate, and fiercely private. She moves through the house with a sense of purpose, tending to her routines with a calm assurance of someone who has learned to rely on herself. There's no trace of childish uncertainty in her voice or her manner. Instead, there's a quiet strength, a strength that Jodie Foster brought to the role with remarkable subtlety. The townspeople are curious about Ryan. They wonder where her father is. why he's never seen, why the girl seems to be alone. Their questions hover around her like a fog, never fully settling, but never drifting away. Ryan answers politely, firmly, and always with just enough detail to keep them at bay. She is a master of boundaries, a young girl who understands that the world can be intrusive, and that sometimes the only way to survive is to keep your doors locked and your secrets closed. But the world has a way of pushing in, especially when people sense something unusual. One of the first to intrude is Mrs. Hallett, the landlady's mother, played with sharp, needling energy by Alexis Smith. She is the kind of woman who believes that she has a right to know everything. Ugh. A right to enter any room, a right to pry into any life. Her visits are filled with my microphone is on. Her visits are filled with suspicion and thinly veiled accusations. But Ryan meets each one with a calmness that heightens the tension. Their exchanges are like a chess match, quiet, deliberate, and filled with unspoken threats. Then there's Frank Hallett, played by Martin Sheen, a character whose presence brings a darker, more unsettling tone to the story. Frank is the kind of man who hides his intentions behind a smile, who uses charm as a mask for something far more dangerous. His interests in Ryan are immediate and deeply troubling, and Jodie Foster's performance in their scenes together is extraordinary. She conveys fear without appearing weak, defiance without ever losing her composure. It is a delicate balance, and she handles it with a kind of emotional intelligence that was already becoming her hallmark. As the story unfolds, the truth about Ryan's situation begins to emerge. Her father, a poet, is gone, not traveling, not working, but gone in a way that Ryan cannot reveal without losing everything she has fought to protect. She has been living alone, managing the household, paying bills, and keeping up the illusion that her father is still present. It is a secret that could unravel at any moment. And the film builds its tension not through loud confrontations, but through the quiet fear that the world will discover what Ryan has been hiding. Her only ally is Mario, a kind, gentle boy played by Scott Jacoby. Mario is curious, but not intrusive, protective, but not controlling. Their friendship grows slowly, built on trust and shared understanding. He becomes the one person Ryan can confide in, the one person who sees her not as a mystery to be solved, but a human being trying to hold her life together. Their scenes together bring a warmth to the film, a reminder that even in the midst of danger, connection is still possible. The house itself becomes a character, a place filled with shadows, locked doors, and lingering presence of secrets. The cellar in particular holds the truth that Ryan cannot allow anyone to discover. The film uses these spaces not for cheap scares, but to create an atmosphere of quiet dread, the sense that something is always just out of sight, just beyond the edge of the frame. What makes The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane so compelling is its refusal to simplify its young heroine. Ryan is not a victim, nor is she a symbol. She's a fully realized character, intelligent, resourceful, and determined to protect her autonomy in a world that constantly tries to take it from her. Jodie Foster plays her with a maturity that feels almost uncanny, capturing the character's inner strength without losing the vulnerability that lies beneath. It is a performance that anchors the entire film, giving it emotional weight and dramatic tension. The film's climax is quiet but powerful, a confrontation that forces Ryan to make choices that no child should ever have to face. Yet she meets those choices with the same resolve that has carried her through the story. There is no triumph in the ending, no sense of victory, only the recognition that survival sometimes comes at a cost, and that growing up can mean carrying burdens that the world will never understand. Looking back, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane stands as one of the most haunting films of the 1970s, a picture that blends psychological tension with a coming-of-age story in a way that feels both intimate and unsettling. It is a film that lingers in the mind long after the final scenes, not because of any single moment, but because of the atmosphere it creates. A world where innocence and danger exist side by side, where a young girl must navigate both with courage and cunning. And at the heart of it all is Jodie Foster, delivering a performance that remains one of the most striking of her career. She brought Ryan into depth of emotion, a quiet intelligence, and a sense of inner fire that made the character unforgettable. It was a role that showed how far she had come since her earliest days on television, and how much she was capable of achieving in the years ahead. Wow. That's, yeah. I have seen that, and I've seen it once, and it's stuck with me. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy movie. So we are going to take another trailer break here at the top of the hour so that we can come back and talk about Bugsy Malone, baby. Muggsy Malone. Yeah, we are going to Muggsy Malone it. Muggsy Malone. Muggsy Malone. I'm just kind of shifting stuff around here so that I can, so that we know where we're at when we come back. For sure. Oh, I wish I had some more coffee. I gulped down my coffee this morning, which is why I'm a chatterbox. So there you go. I hope you're enjoying yourselves this morning. I'm learning about Jodie Foster, mainly to ward off Alzheimer's and dementia. Trying to learn something every day. A little news. Today is one of the university days, so I'll be going down to university this evening after work. I'm going to go out, clean a house with my wife, and then come back, take a nap, and then get up, drive down to university. So my daughter can go to a class, and then rush home, do my double checks on everything, and bring you a show in the morning. I get up at 3:30 in the morning, a.m. my time, to bring you these shows. So sometimes I can be a little loopy, but I think I'm in much better condition when I'm loopy. All right, people, we are going to go to a break because it's about the top of the hour here. Okay, so I will be back shortly. 时间给我, all right, here we go. Fade to black, microphone off.
Hello. I'd like to tell you about a new movie. It's a gangster musical called Bugsy Malone, and it's kind of unusual because all the parts are played by kids around my age. Now, hold on a minute. I can see a few of you out there choking on your popcorn at the thought of 200 kids in ringlets across the screen. Look, I'm not too fond of kids myself, but this ain't no ordinary kid story. Believe me, there ain't never been a movie like it. Take a look.
Your name Robinson?
You work with Fat Sam?
So long, lover boy.
New York, 1929. Prohibition. Gang warfare. A world of gangsters, showgirls, and dreamers. Bugsy Malone. Quite possibly the most unique motion picture for years.
Everybody loves that man, Bugsy Malone.
And if that isn't enough, Bugsy Malone is also the year's major musical.
Fat Sam's Grand Slam. C-Easy. We could have been anything that we wanted to be. With all the talent we had. No doubt about it. We whine, we pout it. We're the very best at being bad guys.
smearing my lipstick.
Careful, Tallulah. Call me close, I have to call my lawyer.
My name is Tallulah. I live till I die. I'll take what you give me and I won't ask why.
You're a dime a dozen gangster, Sam. You're a dirty rat, Dan.
So be a man, you know you can't be certain that you'll lose until you try. So give it a try.
Put him in the ring, Joe, chicken a la carte. Let me have a wing, Joe, tearing him apart. That chicken will crow. Then he'll call it quits for sure, Joe.
Every year brings a great movie. Every decade, a great movie musical. Bugsy Malone. There's never, ever been a movie like it.
Eat your heart out, Gene Kelly.
I'm Rodeo Joe, big star of the show. Oh, I'm strong and I'm spry, yippee-yay, yippee-I, 'cause I drink T-O-D-D-Y.
Yes, Toddy, the chocolate malt in a can that tastes as good or better than the kind you get at your favorite soda fountain. Made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
Man, oh man, it's toddy for me.
Me too.
Me three.
Yes, cold or hot, it hits the spot. So toddle to the bar, take it back to the car, get that chocolate malted toddy. Toddy pleases everybody.
Mmm, delicious. And now, on with the show.
And mic on. Pardon me. I was just taking a break. I swear. Oh, I should have left the mic off for a second there. Okay, we are back. That was a great trailer, wasn't it? I love how Jodie Foster introduced it the way only Jodie Foster could. So let's talk about Bugsy Malone. Let's talk about that particular movie, because it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually have, as I said during the Jodie Foster segment, I actually have Bugsy Malone on 16mm film. Yep, there it is. It's sitting right there next to my Sears and my other Smith & Corona typewriters. But it's there, and I would love to do a movie day and spend all day putting reels on the projectors. I've got Bugsy Malone. I've got The Bad News Bears and Breaking Training. I've got all three of the Disney Dexter Riley movies with Kurt Russell. Oh, that would be that would be a great day to spend with just a room filled with people, and just sit and watch all of those movies back to back to back to back. That would be fantastic. All right, let's get into Bugsy Malone. And you'll have to forgive my sinuses as I took a bong rip during the break. I'm trying to do that kind of stuff off camera as to not offend some of the audience members. And it looks like we do have a couple audience members out there. Thank you for joining me this morning. It is Monday Movie Memories on the morning show. It's top of the hour. It's about 6 a.m. on the 26th of January, 2026. And we are continuing our discussion about Jodie Foster and her film career in the 70s and 80s. And we are going to go from 76 to 1980 in this morning's film discussion. We've talked about The Little Girl Who Lived Down the Lane. Now let's do Bugsy Malone. Bugsy Malone arrived in the mid-1970s like a glitter-covered curveball, a film that didn't look or sound like anything else playing in neighborhood theaters. At a time when American cinema was leaning into gritty realism, hard-edged dramas, and the restless energy of a country in transition. Here came a picture that dared to be playful, nostalgic, and utterly peculiar. It was a gangster musical set in a world of speakeasies, rival mobs, and smoky backrooms. but every role was played by a child. Every gunshot was a splatter of whipped cream, and every scene was wrapped in a wink to old Hollywood of the 1930s. It was a film that shouldn't have worked, yet somehow did, thanks to a combination of bold direction, unforgettable music, and a cast of young performers who threw themselves into the fantasy with complete conviction. At the center of it all was Jodie Foster, already a seasoned performer, despite her age. She played Tallulah, the nightclub singer, with a sly smile and a knowing gaze, a character who seemed to have stepped straight out of a vintage gangster picture. Even though she was barely a teenager, she carried herself with the confidence. Oh wow, we got some Bugsy Malone here. Hey, let's do that. Let's do that. What do we got going on here? How come I'm so far over there? All right. A nightclub singer with a sly smile. Even though she was barely a teenager, she carried herself with confidence of a seasoned star. Her scenes in Fat Sam's Grand Slam Speakeasy had a kind of smoky glamour, the kind that belonged to the era of feathered gowns and slow-burn torch songs. She didn't imitate the actresses of the past. She simply understood the tone, the rhythm, the attitude, and she delivered it with a natural sense that made Tallulah one of the film's most memorable figures. The film itself was a brainchild of Alan Parker, who approached the project with a sense of daring that bordered on mischievous. He wanted to create a world that felt familiar yet entirely new, a place where children could step into the roles of gangsters, showgirls, and bootleggers without losing the innocence that made the concept so charming. The result was a universe where the danger was never real, where the violence was replaced by splurge guns that fired cream instead of bullets, and where the stakes were high enough to keep the story moving, but gentle enough to keep young audiences laughing. It was a balancing act that required precision, and Parker managed it with a steady hand. One of the film's greatest strengths was its music, composed by my favorite guy, Paul Williams. His songs gave the picture its heartbeat, blending the rhythms of classic show tunes with the sweetness that marched the youthful cast. Numbers like Fat Sam's Grand Slam and My Name is Tallulah became instant favorites, the kind of songs that stuck in your head long after the credits rolled. Williams had a gift for writing melodies that felt timeless, and in Bugsy Malone, he created a soundtrack that carried the film's whimsical spirit from start to finish. The music didn't just accompany the story, it shaped it, giving each scene a sense of theatricality that made the film feel like a stage production brought to life. The cast, made up of entirely children, brought an energy that actors could never have matched, that adult actors never could have matched. Scott Baio is, in one of his earliest roles, played Bugsy with a mix of charm and streetwise swagger. He wasn't imitating the tough guy leads of old gangster pictures. He was simply playing the part with sincerity, and that sincerity made the character work. The young performers around him, from the bumbling gang members to the wide-eyed dancers, filled the screen with a kind of earnest enthusiasm that made the film's fantasy feel real. They weren't winking at the audience or playing the concept for laughs. They were living in the world Parker had created, and that commitment made all the difference. What made Bugsy Malone so remarkable was the way it blended nostalgia with originality. It borrowed the visual language of the 1930 gangster films, the fedoras, the pinstripe suits, the smoky clubs, but filtered it through the lens of childhood imagination. The result was a world that felt both familiar and entirely new, a place where the rules of reality didn't apply, but the emotions still rang true. The rivalries, the friendships, the ambitions, they were all drawn from the classic gangster stories, but softened and reshapen into something playful and accessible. It was a film that invited audiences to remember the movies of the past while seeing them through fresh eyes. Jodie Foster's performance was a key part of the magic. She brought a level of sophistication that anchored the film, giving it a touch of old-school glamour that balanced the youthful exuberance of the rest of the cast. Her scenes with Bugsy had a quiet charm, a sense of knowing that hinted at the actress she would soon become. Even in a film filled with whipped cream shootouts and pint-sized mobsters, she managed to create moments of genuine emotion. It was a reminder that she was already on the path to becoming one of the most respected performers of her generation. Bugsy Malone also stood out for its visual style. The sets were richly detailed, filled with the textures of a bygone era. Wooden bar counters, brass fixtures, velvet curtains, and the soft glow of stage lights. The costumes were miniature versions of classic gangsters attire, tailored to fit the young cast, without losing the sharp lines and the bold silhouettes of the period. Everything about the film's design contributed to its sense of playful authenticity, creating a world that felt complete and lived in despite its fantastical premise. When the film was released, audiences didn't quite know what to make of it. Some were charmed, others puzzled, but almost everyone agreed that it was unlike anything they had seen before. Over time, Bugsy Malone developed a devoted following, especially among viewers who appreciated its blend of nostalgia, humor, and musical fare. It became one of those films that people remembered fondly, not because it fit neatly into any genre, but because it dared to be different. It was a reminder that cinema could still surprise, still delight, and still take risks that paid off in unexpected ways. Looking back, Bugsy Malone stands as a testament to the creativity of the 1970s filmmaking, a period when directors were willing to experiment and audiences were willing to follow them into uncharted territory. It captured the spirit of childhood imagination while honoring the traditions of classical Hollywood, creating a film that felt both timeless and utterly of its moment. Yeah. And at the pardon me, anyway. At the heart of it was all was Jodie Foster, delivering a performance that hinted at the extraordinary career that lay ahead. All right, so there is Bugsy Malone. Moving right along. We're talking about Jodie Foster this morning. I am going to drink some water, and then I'm going to get right into Taxi Driver. And then I think we'll be on schedule. Be sure to fax or phone in your comments, and Miriam will shoot them to me on my message board here, so I can read them aloud. We are going to back off and head on over to one of my favorites. Yeah, let's talk about are we talking about, what are we doing here? Did I do Taxi Driver yet? Okay, I don't have Taxi Driver here, which is no big deal. It's no big deal. It's alright, because I'm just going to skip Taxi Driver because we're probably short for time anyway. So I'm going to come back to Taxi Driver if we have time. I've got 3 more here, and I think that's going to do us for the morning. So let's go ahead and talk about Candle Shoe, one of my favorite movies. I actually have a digital copy of this in my computer. You've never seen Bugsy Malone in full. Oh, Cassie, I wish you could stop by and we could just throw it on the reel and watch it on a screen. One of my favorites. Okay, so in 1977, when Candle Shoe arrived in theaters, it felt like one of the most rare family adventures that managed to blend heart, humor, mystery, and a touch of old world charm into a single spirited package. And I'm talking about Candle Shoe, baby. It was a film that carried the unmistakable stamp of Disney's live-action era, the period in the 1960s and 70s when the studio specialized in warm, slightly eccentric stories, filled with hidden treasures, mistaken identities, and characters who seemed to live halfway between reality and fairy tale. And at the center of this particular story was a young actress who had already proven she could handle comedy, drama, and everything in between. By 1977, Jodie was no stranger to audiences. She had already made her mark in films that ranged from whimsical to gritty, but Candle Shoe gave her something different. A chance to play a street-smart American teenager thrust into the gentle world of an English estate. She played Casey Brown, a tough, sharp-tongued foster kid from Los Angeles who suddenly finds herself in the heart of a treasure hunt that stretches back generations. It was a role that required her to balance attitude with vulnerability, mischief with sincerity, and she handled it with the kind of natural ease that had already become her trademark. The story began in the bustling streets of California, where Casey is recruited by a smooth-talking con man named Henry Bundage, played with oily charm by Leo McKern. Bundage believes that Casey may be the long-lost granddaughter of Lady St. Edmund, the aging matriarch of a once grand English estate called Candle Shoe. The estate, as it turns out, is rumored to contain a hidden treasure left behind by a long-dead sea captain, and Bundage intends to use Casey to get his hands on it. It's a classic setup, the kind of plot that could come straight out of a 1930s adventure serial. And it set the stage for a story filled with twists, dangers, and just enough danger to keep young viewers on the edge of their seats with their little butts. When Casey arrives in Candle Shoe, the film shifts gears. We're going to go to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to continue Candle Shoe, and maybe Candle Shoe will be this break. You never know. All right, I will be back in a minute with the continuing of Candle Shoe. Don't go away. Don't go away, because I've got to do this right. Okay, so fade out. Mic off.
We have just seen rushes direct from Hollywood of pictures being released in the coming weeks. And we are proud to announce that this theater will soon bring you the greatest array of pictures ever to reach our screen. You'll see the finest stars in exciting performances. You'll thrill to the suspense, comedy, romance, and drama of world-famous stories. Here's a glimpse of a few of them coming to this theater soon.
Second call, 404 Hamilton, 417. 195, Alfano, 448.
De Niro.
4 and 5.
In Bang the Drum Slowly, the critics called him a brilliant new talent. After Mean Streets, they said he was a genius. For his performance in The Godfather Part 2, they gave him the Academy Award.
Come on, man. Just get me out of here, all right?
Now, Robert De Niro creates a terrifying portrait of life on the edge of madness.
Tabby, just forget about this. It's nothing.
Taxi Driver, a film by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, people do anything in front of a taxi driver. I mean, anything. People too cheap to rent a hotel room.
Oh, driver, hurry up, will you?
People want to embarrass you. It's like you're not even there. It's like, you know, like a taxi driver doesn't even exist. This city here is like an open sewer, you know? It's full of filth and scum.
I think I know what you mean, Travis. But it's not gonna be easy.
How do you guys get to be a Secret Service man?
What?
I was just curious, because I thought maybe I'd make a good one. Hey, what kind of guns do you guys carry? 38s, 45s, 357 Magnums, something bigger maybe? Hi. I'd like to volunteer.
Why?
Why? Because I think that you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
The taxi driver is looking for a target. Getting ready. Getting organized. Preparing himself for the only moment in his life that will ever mean anything.
How much for everything?
$350 for the Magnum, $250 for the 38, $1 1/4 for the 25, $150 for the 380.
That taxi driver's been staring at us.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
I don't know who's weirder, you or me.
You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking to? Talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
I don't believe I've ever met anyone quite like you.
Oh, yeah?
You will never see a more chilling performance than this. Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. Jodie Foster, Albert Brooks, Harvey Keitel, Leonard Harris, Peter Boyle, Sybil Shepherd. Taxi Driver.
And on with the show, indeed. You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Ain't nobody else here. You must be talking to me, huh? Most iconic film lines ever. Are you talking to me? Exactly. Totally. So back to Candleshoe, 1977. Jodie Foster as Casey Brown. When Casey arrives in Candleshoe, the film shifts gears, trading the noise of Los Angeles for the quiet ivy-covered charm of the English countryside. The estate is crumbling, the bills are piling up, and Lady St. Edmund, played with warmth and dignity by Helen Hayes, is doing everything she can to keep the household running. She is assisted by Priory, the local butler portrayed by David Niven, who delivers one of the film's most delightful performances. Are you talking to me? Niven plays multiple roles throughout the story: gardener, chauffeur, stable hand, and even a Scottish piper, all in an effort to keep up the illusion that the estate is still fully staffed, and it's a running gag that gives the film much of its humor. And Niven throws himself into each disguise with a twinkling in his eye. As Casey settles into life at Candleshoe, she begins to form bonds with the children who live there, each of them contributing to the estate's survival in their own way. What begins as a con slowly becomes something more meaningful. Casey, who has spent her life looking out for herself, starts to feel the pull of belonging, the warmth of a real home, the comfort of shared meals, the simple joy of being part of a family. It's a transformation that Jodie Foster plays with subtlety, letting the hard edges of her character soften gradually as she becomes invested in the fate of the estate. The treasure hunt itself unfolds through a series of clever clues left behind by the sea captain, each one leading to the characters deeper into the story of Candleshoe. The clues are written in riddles, hidden in paintings, tucked into old books, and carved into the very architecture of the estate. It's a kind of mystery that invites young viewers to play along, to guess the next step, and imagine themselves. Where are we at? Let's go to Candleshoe again. There we go. And to imagine themselves exploring dusty attics and secret passages. The film captures that sense of childhood adventure, the thrill of discovery, the excitement of solving puzzles, the belief that magic might be hiding just around the corner. But Candleshoe isn't just a treasure hunt. It's also a story about loyalty, sacrifice, and the meaning of home. Lady St. Edmund, determined to keep the estate alive, even as the world around her changes, gives the film its emotional center. Helen Hayes brings a quiet strength to the role, portraying a woman who has lost much but refuses to give up. Her relationship with Casey becomes one of the film's most touching elements. Her relation, as the two characters slowly come to see each other, not as imposters or strangers, but as family. The film builds toward a lively climax involving Bundage's return, a runaway car, and a final scramble for the treasure that brings all the threads together. It's a sequence filled with the kind of particular stunts and physical comedy that defined Disney's live-action films of the era. Nothing too frightening, nothing too polished, just good old-fashioned movie fun. A lot of slapstick in this movie, it really is. And when the treasure is finally discovered, the moment feels earned, not because of the gold itself, but because of what it represents, the salvation of Candleshoe, the preservation of a home, and the completion of Casey's journey from outside to family member. Looking back, Candleshoe stands as one of the most charming entries in Disney's 1970s catalog. It has the warmth of the classic family film, the intrigue of a mystery, and the heart of a coming-of-age story. It captures a moment in Jodie Foster's career when she was transitioning from child roles to more complex characters. It showcases her ability to bring depth and authenticity to a story that could easily have slipped into pure fantasy. Her performance grounds the film, giving it emotional weight, and as the plot dances through riddles and disguises. The year 1977 was filled with cinematic landmarks, but Candleshoe carved out its own quiet little place in memories of those who grew up with it. It was the kind of film that children watched on a rainy afternoon, that families gathered around the television to enjoy, that lingered in the imagination long after the final scene. It reminded audiences that adventures could be gentle, that mystery could be wholesome, and that sometimes the greatest treasure isn't gold at all, but the feeling of finding where you belong. Candleshoe, one of my favorite flicks. I just love Candleshoe. I have watched that one recently a few times. I shared it with my daughter, who is 21. And she loved it. She thought Jodie Foster was really awesome in that. Next, we are going to talk about foxes. Orale, let's pick up some foxes. We're going to talk about Foxes, 1980 film, before we move on to the last trailer break and the final portion of the show. And we'll talk then about a movie that I've never seen, Carny, from 1980. Let's see, at least I don't recall having seen it. Maybe when I was younger I might have glimpsed it on HBO or something. Alright, people, are you talking to me? Foxes, 1980. Let's get to a graphic here. Can we show a graphic on this one? Yeah, here we go. Let's talk about Foxes. Foxes arrived in 1980. When it arrived in 1980, it carried with it the restless pulse of a new decade. A decade that was still shaking off the last echoes of the 1970s like disco, while stepping uncertainly into the neon-lit world ahead. It was a film that didn't rely on fantasy or nostalgia or the soft glow of childhood adventure. Instead, it planted its feet firmly in the present, capturing the real lives of teenage girls in the San Fernando Valley with a frankness that felt startlingly real. And at the center of this portrait was Jodie Foster, no longer a child of Disney. You've not seen Candle Shoe? Oh, Candle Shoe is awesome. I gotta hook you up, baby. All right. No longer a child star of Disney adventures or streetwise figure from, or the streetwise figure of New York dramas, but a young woman stepping into adulthood with a performance that was grounded, thoughtful, and quietly powerful. Foxes as well. Jodie played Jeannie, a teenager caught between the expectations of her mother and the pull of her own emerging independence. Jeannie is the kind of character who doesn't announce herself loudly. She isn't the wild one, the reckless one, or the one who draws attention with dramatic gestures. Instead, she is the steady center of the group, the one who watches, listens, absorbs, and tries to make sense of the world around her. In a role that requires subtlety, the kind of acting that doesn't rely on big speeches or showy moments, but on small shifts in expression, the quiet hesitations, the unspoken thoughts that linger behind the eyes. Jodie understood that instinctively, and she brought Jeannie to life with a maturity that signaled her transition into adult roles. The film follows Jeannie and her three closest friends, Annie, Madge, and Deirdre, as they navigate the complexities of adolescence in a world that seems to be moving faster than they can keep up with. Let me put my finger here and read this comment. I had a pretty fucked up childhood. Don't talk about it much, but watching TV was either not available or I was being punished for poor grades. Yeah, there you go. I didn't have TV a lot when I was younger either. We were always on the road. We were always one step ahead of the man. We were always moving. Sometimes we would have a TV or a radio, but not always. It was kind of fucked up. I hear you, sister. Their lives are filled with the familiar rhythms of teenage existence, schools, friendships, arguments, crushes, and the constant search for identity. But beneath the surface lies the deeper tension, a sense that these girls are growing up in a time when the traditional guideposts of youth have begun to shift. The adults in their lives are distracted, overwhelmed, or simply absent, leaving the girls to figure things out on their own. Essentially, I did not lay my eyes on TV unless it was walking through a room or with one of my many years of child, and it just didn't interest me much again until literally the last 2 years, right? TV was, when it was around, it was my best friend, my babysitter. But then again, my parents would drop us off at the theater for hours just so they could go out and do their things. Hey, good morning, Dubs. How are you this morning? We're just getting through Fox's 1980 film with Jodie Foster, and we are just about through most of the show this morning. So welcome and thank you for joining us. Let's see. So back to Foxes. Annie, played with a raw intensity by Cherie Curry. You remember who Cherie Curry is, right? Anybody? Cherie Curry. She is the most troubled of the group, a girl who drifts from party to party, from one outrageous situation to the next, searching for something she can't quite name. Jeannie becomes her anchor, being Jodie Foster, the one who tries to pull her back from the edge, even as she struggles with her own uncertainties. Their friendship forms the emotional core of the film, a bond that is both tender and strained, filled with moments of loyalty, frustration, and deep affection. Jodie's scenes with Curry are some of the most affecting in the picture, capturing the complicated dynamics of teenage friendships with a realism that feels almost documentary in nature. The world of Foxes is one of late-night diners, cluttered bedrooms, and the endless sprawl of the valley, a landscape of freeways, shopping centers, and half-finished dreams. Director Adrian Lynn, I'll go with Lynn. Director Adrian Lynn is, in his feature debut, brought a visual style that blended naturalism with a touch of glamour, creating a world that felt both familiar and heightening. The film's soundtrack, filled with the soft rock and pop rhythms of the era, added to its sense of time and place, giving the story a musical heartbeat that echoed the emotional turbulence of the characters. Yeah, there you go, the Runaways. Now you're kicking. Jeannie's relationship with her mother, played by Sally Kellerman, adds another layer to the story. Their interactions are marked with tension, misunderstanding, and the quiet ache of two people who care for each other but can't quite bridge the gap between them. Jeannie's mother is caught up with her own struggles, trying to maintain a sense of youth and relevance, while her daughter is rapidly approaching adulthood. Their scenes together are filled with the kind of emotional push and pull that defines so many parent-teen relationships, and Jodie plays these moments with a sensitivity that reveals the depth of Jeannie's inner life. Mean Girls. What sets Foxes apart from many other films of its era is its refusal to offer easy answers. It doesn't present adolescence as a series of neatly resolved conflicts or tidy moral lessons. Instead, it shows the messiness, the confusion, the moments of joy and despair that come with growing up. The girls make mistakes, hurt each other, drift apart, and come back together. They are searching for meaning in a world that doesn't always provide it, and the film allows them the space to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, to be real. Jodie Foster's performance is the quiet engine that drives the film. She doesn't dominate the screen with dramatic flourishes. Instead, she grounds the story with steady presence that gives the film its emotional weight. Jeannie is thoughtful, observant, deeply human, and Jodie brings her to life with a level of nuance that reflects her growing maturity as an actress. It is a performance that marks the beginning of her transition into adult roles, showing that she could carry on a film not just with talent, but with emotional intelligence and depth. Whew. We're just trucking along here. As the film builds toward its climax, the stakes become painfully clear. Annie's downward spiral reaches a breaking point, and Jeannie is forced to confront the limits of her ability to save her friend. Don't think you've ever seen Foxes, huh, Dubs? It's a kooky movie. I love Scott Baio in it, though. Scott Baio, they're back together again after Bugsy Malone, right? The scenes are filled with this sense of loss and awakening, a recognition that growing up often means facing truths that are difficult to accept. Yet, even in its most somber moments, Foxes retains a sense of hope, the belief that friendship, resilience, and self-understanding can carry these young women forward to whatever comes next. Looking back, Foxes stands as a snapshot of a particular moment in American youth culture, a moment when the innocence of earlier decades had faded and the uncertainties of a future were beginning to take shape. It is a film that captures the emotional landscape of the adolescence with honesty and compassion, and Jodie Foster's performance remains one of its most enduring strengths. She brought to Jeannie a quiet wisdom, a sense of searching, and a depth of feeling that made the character unforgettable. in the long arc of Jodie Foster's career, Foxes represents a crucial step, the moment when she began to leave behind the roles of childhood and step into the complexities of adulthood. It is a film that showcases her ability to convey emotion, subtlety, to anchor a story with quiet strength, and to bring authenticity to every moment she inhabits. And for audiences who grew up with it, Foxes remains a poignant reminder of what it felt like to be young, and a young woman in a world that didn't always make sense, but was filled with the possibility of becoming something more. All right, that right there is Foxes, and we are going to move on from Foxes to our last break of the day, and I'll be right back, I swear. And let me do this right. Fade out, mic off.
Meet Jeannie, Annie, Madge, and Deirdre. Not exactly the girls next door.
Hey, anything you want, baby?
Not from you, slime.
They move to a beat all their own. They're foxes. They dare to do what others dream of.
Moving out, finding a place of our own.
Oh, you know, it's not just for you. My mother would love it.
You look like kids, but you don't act like them. You're short 40-year-olds and you're tough ones.
Run too fast, fly too high. Run too fast.
You forget your mom. You know, when you go out in the world, it gets scary sometimes. Learn to laugh a little.
I mean, you slept with guys. Gonna stay with you tonight, Annie?
Better stick to the pill, because you never know what you don't know, you know?
Teenage dopers. What a waste.
Drunkenness, narcotics. I don't like your friends, Jeannie.
Never liked my friends.
I'm in love with you.
Do you really love me?
Let's go, that's Annie. How is she? She's loaded.
If you're gonna stay with me, you gotta go by the rules. And the rules are, we're gonna get through high school. We're gonna pay back, Jake. And I'm not coming back for you every time you blow it.
Jodie Foster, Scott Baio, Sally Kellerman, Randy Quaid. They dare to do what others dream of. They're foxes.
Sparkling soft drinks. Steaming hot coffee. Steamed or grilled hot dogs. Crispy hot fresh French fries. How about a pizza? None better anywhere.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
I guess that's my cue to come back. All right, I'm going to throw down this last one and just kind of open the message board up of Randy Quaid, right? I love Scott Baio in that one. In fact, tomorrow on Totally Television Tuesday, I have a bunch of Jodie Foster spots built into the breaks for tomorrow's show. So be sure to tune in for that, because we're continuing with the Jodie Foster theme. So the commercials, I've even got an interview with Jodie Foster right after President Reagan was shot, and they found out that her pen pal Hinckley had done it, right? John Hinckley. And then, if you remember correctly, right at the same time that President Reagan was shot, they rolled out The Greatest American Hero. And his name happened to be Mr. Hinckley. And for that after the first couple of episodes, they actually audio dubbed out Hinckley and replaced it with Haney. So he was Mr. Haney for a bunch of episodes. And I guess they didn't want to, poke our little sensible lives any more than they had been. And it was kind of weird, It was kind of weird. Yeah, in fact, let's go ahead and pull up the Jodie Foster images again for this morning. And my God, isn't she something? Isn't she something? For some reason, she made me feel like I was a real kid. It was those perfectly imperfect kids. They didn't sound the way all the other kids sounded. They didn't look exactly the way the other kids sounded. They acted way different than all the other kids. And with kids like Jodie Foster and Jackie Earle Haley, it gave those actors and actresses gave me the sense that I was normal. Yeah, Jodie is just adorable. Second grade for you, American Hero. That is great. In fact, I think tomorrow we're talking a little bit about Greatest American Hero. Tomorrow is Totally Television Tuesday, and we are going to talk more about Jodie, and mainly we're going to be looking at more of her film and TV roles through promos and trailers, and she pretty much kept to herself, so we don't see a lot of her out doing stuff like Brooke Shields or other actors and actresses of the time were like out in the limelight all the time, but not Jodie Foster. Oh, pardon. So tomorrow is Totally Television Tuesday. We're going to jump into the boob tube, and we're going to bring you a live morning show news report, and we're going to discuss news and views of the era. And we do have a lot of stories lined up. In fact, I can give you an idea of what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Roe v. Wade, The Shah Leaves Iran, Greatest American Hero premiere, Lionel Richie goes solo. We're going to talk about all kinds of great news from the 70s and 80s, and we'll also have some hard-hitting news stories. Last Tuesday, we discussed the Flight 90 Potomac crash, the plane that crashed into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. What I hadn't realized at the time was that on that same day, there was a metro derailment. It almost seems like a movie plot, right? So we're going to talk about those two events happening in the same day in the same town. And the war in El Salvador. So we're going to do that. Exactly. She was nerdy. She was square. That's what I loved. That she was. She wasn't like all the rest, and that was just like me. I was not like all the rest. I was really weird, quirky, nerdy, geeky kid. Always looked different, acted different, talked different. Was never taken seriously though. So tomorrow, Totally Television Tuesday. Join us. We're going to talk about the news. And let's see, what do we have scheduled for? Well, that's a lot. So this whole pack here, all of this here, which is quite a lot, that is all for Tuesday. That is going to keep us quite busy. This is Wednesday. Wednesday is just a set list, because Wednesday we go back to the radio and I get to be a DJ for 2 hours. and I can bring you weird stories, weird news, talk about fun stuff from the radio. This week we are going to do our show on KMET 94.7 from Southern California, the radio station I grew up with, one of the radio stations I grew up with. And we're going to talk about everything KMET. We are going to listen to old 1920s and 30s jazz music. Gotta pay the bills. Oh, geez, talk about commercials. No way. That's right, I already paid all my bills. There we go. Pay the bills. What? I stopped doing that. Hey, peace, man. Thanks for stopping by, Tubbs. Even if for just a short period of time. So we're gonna play some 1920s and 30s jazz music. We've got Eddie Cantor and some hi-hatters. Ooh, some of my favorite music. We've got an X-1 for the pre-show. This morning's pre-show, during the tail end of it, there happened to be some music there that got me kicked off. So the stream was shut down for a few minutes while I had to run in here and push buttons. And then we came back. So I do apologize for that. I'll probably have to go into YouTube and edit that out. Let's see. What else do we have planned for Wednesday? Ooh, we are going to do our first episode of Baby Snooks, starring Fanny Bryce. I just might have some weird news, but I think that's going to be a kind of a come and go thing. All right, so that is Wednesday. On Thursday, we are going to be talking about long-distance phone call prices. Oh my gosh, they got crazy. The pet rock craze. But our feature story is the Ford Pinto. Oi. Oh, I still have yet to print out my Ford Pinto story. Or make my commercial breaks. So there you go. There's that. We've got a great week planned. And then, of course, Friday, we're just going to kind of wrap it all up. And I can bring you any portion of any of the shows during the week to you, and you can check it out. Right? You just got to do is say, hey, man, play that thing that you played. Where was that thing? It was like a movie trailer or something, and there was like hot dogs and coffee. Just let me know, and I'll bring it up for you. And that's what Friday is all about. Kind of a wrap-up of the week. We got to tie it in with our lives from the past. Good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited about the whole new format here. My long distance. Great, exactly. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear some great stories about the topics that we're covering, because you know what? That's what it's all about. Making the connections, wrapping it all up in a little package, and saying, look, it's actually our past. So that's cool. That's totally cool. So yeah, come back tomorrow morning and talk about your experiences with long distance phone calls. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was young, we had a phone once. We had a phone in our house once for a few months. My grandmother got us the phone. She got us the house that we lived in for a couple of years. And of course, we just couldn't manage it. We couldn't keep up with the bills, couldn't pay for the phone, couldn't take care of the utilities, couldn't pay the rent. Eventually, we had to run away from the place. And then what's really funny is we ran away from the place and came back, and everything was still there. And nobody had done anything with the house. And so we just came back, and Grandma paid up some back rent, and we continued to stay there for a little while. But much of my childhood was like that. No phone, No TV, no radio, living in a tent or a car or a van or a motorhome or something. We spent an entire summer living in a van down by the beach. And you would think, wow, that'd be great. You know, you're a kid and you're out, and it was horrible. Eating bologna sandwiches every single day for every single meal, most of the time. No TV. I think there was a little tiny TV, but it could only be used like an hour a day because it drained the battery on the van. It was a unique time period in my life, to say the least. It's just about time to wrap it up for this morning. Man, I learned a lot about Jodie Foster this morning. I'm learning this stuff right along with you all. The way my brain works is I can write down as much as I want to talk about, but as soon as I set it down, it becomes new to me, because spent the summer traveling, ended up under a bridge in Anaheim. Yep, there you go. Our father was attending UCSD, University of California, San Diego. Lived in the back of my dad's truck. There you go. And my father, during this particular summer where we lived at the beach, he was attending summer school at the university and was trying to complete his degree. And he never did. So we suffered in vain. But it was closer to his campus to go back and forth. Sometimes he'd leave the van and he would hitchhike to the campus. And other times he would take the van and we would be left there at the beach with nothing. At the bay we had our tent set up, lived off what we could, mostly flounder. Yeah, there you go. My mother fished a lot when we were living in a motorhome, kind of bopping around. We'd bop up and down the coast, and she'd go out onto the pier and she'd borrow some line from somebody, get a hooks, a weights, and she'd borrow everything that she needed to catch some fish. And she would just borrow a roll of line, and she always took an ice pick with her to stick that roll of line to the pier. And she'd catch fish, and the guys would help her reel it in, and she'd bring home all kinds of bluegill. Is that what we used to eat? Bluefish, bluegills, little tiny little flatfish. Yeah. Crazy days. All right, kiddos. It's about time for me to sign off. I've got a whole host of crap I gotta do today before I go down to the university with my daughter so she can continue earning her last semester of her bachelor's degree. And that's the important thing. So I'm going to check out this morning and probably have a little breakfast. And bluegill, yeah, totally bluegill. And we are going to be back tomorrow morning for Totally Television Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, I've eaten out of the garbage before, and I've eaten better sometimes than I have most recently. If you know the right places to go and when to go, you can get some really good food for free. I hope you have a great day as well. No, thank you for being here, because without you, I'm just here going blah, blah, blah by myself. So you really do make it all worthwhile, all of you guys who stop by and hang out. I appreciate it. I'm sure Joey was watching again this morning, but decided not to say anything. So, love you. Good morning, Joey, William, Lucy, Susie, James, Mike up there in Canada, all you guys out there. Thanks for just being around. I know the show and the channel gets kind of kooky sometimes, but it is my hobby. It's not a business. So sometimes it has the need for change, you know. But yeah, have a great day, have a great night. I will see you guys in the mañana. And until then, be kind to each other. Spread peace and love, not bullshit. Do something nice for yourselves, but do something nice for somebody else too. Why? Because it makes you feel good, makes the other person feel good, makes you a better person, makes the world a better place. All right. Stay weird. All right. Because if you ain't weird, ain't nobody gonna be weird for you. You got to do it. You got to learn something new every day. That's what it is to be human. All right, not slaving away somewhere. It's learning something and becoming a better you. That's what it means to be human. All right. Take care of each other. Love you guys. Peace and love, and spread the word. Not about the channel. I mean, yeah, if you can send people here to subscribe, that's great. But spread the word about peace and love, compassion. We need that so much right now. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and adios. Bye now.